one world currency.
The New World Order.
Those are the roots of trouble.
I imagine that right now you're feeling a bit like Alice, tumbling down the rabbit hole. Let me tell you why you're here. You're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life. That there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there, like a splinter in your mind, driving you mad. It is this feeling that has brought you to me. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of election, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no rumor is printed, no secret is revealed. But I am asking your help in the tremendous task of informing and alerting the American people.
And now, welcome to another episode of Down the Rabbit Hole. Here's your host from federaljack.com. It's Popeye.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another live edition. It is May 17th, 2013. Tonight's the Friday edition of DTRH, the end to another long week here. And tonight, I am pleased to be bringing back to the airwaves a good friend of mine for a full 2 hours tonight. We will be doing a full 2-hour edition of Cutting Through the BS. My good friend and fellow radio show host here at Unbound, Mr. Johnny English. Johnny, welcome back, brother.
Hey, thanks for having me on. I don't know if I can do the full 2 hours. I might have to go wash my hair in about an hour. So just letting you know ahead of time in case I disappear and you don't hear me anymore. That's what I'll be doing. Washing my hair.
Calgon, take me away.
That's right. I've had a rough week of doing nothing.
Of doing absolutely nothing, sir. Johnny stuck it to the man, didn't he?
I stuck it to the man, all right, and apparently they're sticking it right back. So, yeah. Yeah, this is working out well.
Sticking it to the man doesn't work out so well, huh?
No, sticking it to the man usually works out a lot better when you got another man to go to, and that sounds not right. That didn't come out right at all. So you know what I mean.
Yes, well, leaving one job without having the other one lined up permanently, yes, is a...
I've never done that before. Honestly, in my entire career, I think the entire time I've been working, which seems like forever, I've never done that. I've never left a job without having another job lined up, and I did it this time, and boy, am I suffering the consequences.
Well, at least you stood up for what you believed in. Whether or not you look back on it and you can say you were right or wrong.
I think I'm going to win the lottery tomorrow night. I think I'm going to be the record Powerball winner. So in case that happens, you're going to see a lot more of Johnny English on Unbound Radio.
Johnny will be a silent partner. He'll be funding things on the back end. $600 million.
Yeah, Unbound Radio is going to grow exponentially. I can promise you that.
Yes. Suddenly we have a larger budget. Where'd that come from? Powerball. That reminds me, I need to go buy my ticket. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back in 1 minute. In that 1 minute, I'm going to run around the corner to the gas station and go pick up my Powerball ticket. We'll be right back. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. On tonight's edition of Cutting Through the BS, there will also be a woodshedding. Yes, my favorite pastime. there's going to be a woodshedding going on tonight. Who's going to go to the woodshed? My favorite tart from over in Britain, Piers Morgan, and one of his guests, Mr. Bob Costas, who should just stick to doing sports broadcasting and keep his personal opinion out of things.
I hate when these guys that are doing sports or some other kind of broadcasting decide all of a sudden they have an opinion. Because it never comes out right. It never comes out right. Just stick to what you know, sir, and let us do the heavy lifting.
Costas is a dick. I'm just going to say it. No holds barred. He's a dick. The guy is... Well, you'll hear. I'm going to play the clip, and I'm going to woodshed both of them. And I'm even the reason I'm doing it tonight is I was going to wait till Monday, and I decided, no, I'd rather do it tonight with Johnny and make it even more fun and let Johnny woodshed him, too. So they're going to get a double woodshedding. Not only they're going to hear it from me, but after I say my piece, I'm going to go to Johnny and let him have his say and what he thinks. It's only like a 3.5-minute clip. I guarantee you it's going to take at least 2.5 segments to rip it apart because of the amount of lies. I told you a piece of it off air. Dude, Morgan actually says that people can just go into a grocery store. He says the term grocery store, and you can buy a fully automatic weapon. It's the AR-15. The AR-15 is the weapon of choice of madmen, and you can buy them at grocery stores. Really? Last time I checked, and I went to the Publix around the corner from where I live, you could not buy bullets or guns. They did have bread and milk. They even have an organic section, but no, I did not see the AR-15s or the AK-47s. It's just ridiculous, dude. You should hear. It's unbelievable what they say. It really is. In fact, you know what? I was going to wait till the second hour, but let's just woodshed them now. Why not? We'll start woodshedding these two morons now because, I mean, it's...
Grocery store.
Oh, dude.
Really?
Dude, I can't make this up. I wouldn't lie. I swear to God. He makes it sound like you can drive around the corner to, like, Walmart or Food Town, whatever, Publix, ShopRite. And I know Walmart might sell some guns or some ammo, but you cannot go into... Currently, actually, Walmart, if I remember correctly, pulled any of the AR-15s off their shelves. So I know you can't buy weapons right now pretty much at all in Walmart. It's pretty hard. I think maybe there's only some pistols, if there's still any, in most of the country. I know Walmart's taken their little stand on that. Maybe there are some here and there, but it's relatively sporadic. So let's keep Walmart. And the problem is, the reason I say Walmart is because when I saw some of the comments on the video at CNN on the YouTube channel, people were like, oh, now they're saying it's Walmart? No. See, that would be in itself, coming back with that argument would be kind of a logical fallacy because, like I said, you could have bought bullets and ammo at Walmart at one point. What they're saying is the grocery store, like whatever your local grocery store is. We have, Publix. I know up north there's Food Town and ShopRite, but I don't know what the hell's out west, but whatever it is. Like, bread, milk, eggs, 7.62 millimeter, a breastplate. Seriously. That's what they think you can just go buy with these high-capacity magazines.
You must have cool Walmarts down there because the only thing you're going to buy in a Walmart up here is shotguns. That's it. Shotguns and maybe the occasional .22 rifle. That's
what I'm saying. I don't recall ever seeing anybody who bought a modded AR-15 doing so from Walmart. Because, they're going to stand there with the Walmart associates. So what's better, the Trichicon? This Trichicon scope here? Or should I get this EOTech holographic sight? And the guy from Walmart's going to be standing there looking at you with drool coming out of the corner of his mouth.
I think what they don't... When English people get drunk, don't they say they're piss drunk? I think he got piss drunk and walked into the toy section and maybe walked through one of the G.I. Joe sections, and there's all these look-alike guns and stuff that they have hanging around that the kids buy, and maybe he's talking about that because this guy is clearly delusional.
Dude, he's a dick. Okay? He's just a dick. And his argument, he always has people come on his show, and it's the same talking points. He brings up some of the same talking points while he's talking to Costas that he's brought up in the past, and I'll point it out when he does, but he brings them up, and it's like, dude, you've been owned. Okay, Morgan, you got owned. Not once, not twice, but repeatedly. Over and over and over again. You got high-speed owned. I guess they're going to have to ban high-speed ownage of Piers Morgan.
Hey, didn't you say he was going to leave the country?
Yeah.
If the gun laws didn't get passed.
Good point. Time to pack your crap and leave.
Why are you still here, sir? Why are you still here running your little lips, your little thin lips? Why aren't you on a plane? Well, I'm not going to go that far. But why aren't you on a plane heading back to the homeland?
I know where that was going.
You know exactly where I was going with that.
Piers Morgan is a... all right. I'll refrain from the ad hominems for the woodshedding. Here we go. I'll behave myself. You ready? Bob, this is Bob Costas on Piss Morgan Show. I believe it was last night.
My real issue, the background checks thing I find just unfathomable. Because why wouldn't you want every gun to be, they have this terror of being registered. Well, you have to register a car.
Right off the bat, we're 10 seconds into it, and he actually just defeated the anti-gun lobby's argument. He said they're so afraid of a registry, but you have to register a car. And I'll let you listen to his retarded argument about it in a second. But didn't they say that background checks weren't about gun registration?
Just to give you a heads up, I bought an old World War I Mauser at an auction. Guess what I had to do? I had to register it. Those laws are already in place, Piers.
Sir,
they're already in place, kiddo.
Well, he thinks that this modified, whatever, extended background check, whatever the hell it was called, that they wanted to do, the gun show loophole, closing the gun show loophole. Can't stand that. Ugh. Anyway, he's saying that background checks, remember the argument was background checks would never lead to registration? Well, he just said in the first 10 seconds that what's the big deal about registration? We have to register our cars. Well, last time I checked, Piers, throughout history, tyrants didn't use vehicle registration to go around and say, I want your Volkswagen or I want your Mitsubishi. But they did go around to use gun registration to confiscate weapons repeatedly. It's happened all throughout the world, over and over and over again. I know, it's a conspiracy theory. That's never really happened. In your little perfect world, Piers, that kind of stuff doesn't happen. Ugh. See, they were talking about other stuff. He was interviewing Costas, and then he brings up the gun control issue because of Costas's his strong stance on it. And Costas came out after a football player killed himself and his girlfriend or whatever. We need background checks because this football player killed himself. Maybe we just need to worry about the drugs that goes on and all the other stuff that goes on in professional sports. But I digress. Let's get back to piss and boob Costas.
Of course. I mean, cars have many uses. They're not designed to kill people. Guns only have one use. They kill things.
If you purchase Sudafed, you're in a register. Because Sudafed can be an ingredient in crystal meth.
I can't go to Walmart in various states in America and buy 6 packets of Sudafed because it's bad for my health.
Now, you see how Costas brought up Sudafed, and then he goes, now this is one of his talking points about the Sudafed. I can't buy Sudafed, 6 packs of Sudafed. How come people can buy 6 boxes of bullets? It's bad for my health. If I can't buy this, that, or the other thing because it's bad for my health, why can people buy bullets? Well, you know what, Piers? I don't agree with any of those other totalitarian garbage laws either where they ban things because the government deems it's bad for me. You know what? How about letting me deem if it's bad for me? You can give us the warning, hey, this thing is known to cause this problem or this problem. There's this associated with it or this associated with it. Okay? How about that? But not banning things. I think that's a bit harsh, don't you think? And if we're going to ban things, maybe we should ban things like the Chinese drywall that was getting people sick or all this other garbage that we import from China. Oh, we can't do that because they buy all of our debt and we kiss their butts. Oh. Johnny, anything to say?
Dude, come on. First of all, who the hell's buying 6 packets of Sudafed? If somebody's buying a crap load of Sudafed, you might want to investigate that. However, the average consumer, unless there's a huge sale on Sudafed, they're not buying it anyway. So I don't agree with that stupid law. And I've been carded as well for paint, just dumb stuff that's supposedly the ingredients in crystal meth. And
Target cards you for Bic lighters.
I mean, it's ridiculous the laws that are in place. However, this isn't the same thing. It's not even the same thing. And last time I checked, and we may get into this a little bit later, I was going to save it for my show tomorrow night, but, a car can be used if you're close to a Clinton member. If you're close to a Clinton family member, a car could be used to run you over. Just so you know, Piers.
Yeah, if you're part of the Clinton family's protective detail, you might want to ask some of the police officers that have been killed during that, and ask them if a car can be used as a weapon. I mean, that's the dumbest. It's like comparing apples and oranges. Well, we register our cars. Well, as I said, there isn't really a history of tyrannical governments trying to enact automobile control. The last time I checked. I mean,
well, there is, but they do it through the EPA.
Oh, well, that's true. Actually, that is true.
It is true. Yeah, they actually do regulate everything through the EPA, but it's not the same thing. It's not. You can't carry a Dodge pickup in your pocket and hide it. I mean, there's just so many different things.
Dude, don't lie. I know for a fact that you walk around with a Ram 1500 in your back pocket at all times.
All right, you got me. You got me there. But Piers Morgan and Bob Costas, obviously two guys. Piers Morgan, who used to sit on the panel of some stupid, not reality TV show and judge people on things that he has no clue what's going on. And Bob Costas, the guy that does sports all the time, all of a sudden have a conscience and decide they want to come out against gun control. No, it's ridiculous and it's laughable. Every time I see these two idiots on TV talking about anything remotely related to gun control, I just want to spit in their face.
Yeah, dude, Costas makes me want to vomit, and so does Piers. Ugh, just here. Let's get back into it. We're only 31 seconds into this clip. I told you.
That's what's sad. We're only 30 seconds in.
31 seconds, dude. Just lies after lie. Wait. The grocery store one's coming up.
I can't buy certain types of French cheese because it's bad for my health. I can't buy a Kinder Egg because I may choke on the little toy, so I'm banned from having it. But I can go into the same supermarket, banning me from those things, and I can buy an AR-15 military assault rifle that can fire 100 shots in a minute. And that's the rifle used at Aurora.
So you just heard her say you can go to the supermarket and buy an AR-15.
No, you can't.
Last time I went to the supermarket, you can't buy an AR-15. That's a lie.
I should ask my wife if she bumped into the AR-15 display as she was walking into the grocery store today.
Dude, it's just an outright lie. Like, it's not even he's trying to, like, twist anything. He's just frigging lying.
And it just goes to show you to the depths that they will go. He's not even thinking about what he's saying. He has no clue what he's saying. Not one iota. There's nothing about him whatsoever that makes any sense. And people listen. That's what I don't get, Popeye. I don't understand why people listen to these idiots. I just don't get it.
They must have handpicked the audience for the background, because the idiots in the background are all giggling like he, and then you see them like smiling and like nodding their head when him or Costas makes one of their, just idiotic points. They're sitting there nodding their heads like a bunch of...
All the audience members for all of the shows that recorded, Oprah, the old Oprah show, all those shows, they are handpicked from a line of people that wrap entirely around the building. I've seen it happen. I've watched it physically happen at the Oprah show.
Wait a minute, is that how come nobody ever interjects their own opinion?
That's right.
Sir?
That's right.
Are you trying to tell me TV's fake?
Oh, I know it's a shocker.
I don't think I could do the rest of the broadcast now. You just blew my mind. I mean, TV's fake? I need the rest of the night off to just think about this. Of course, I'm being sarcastic.
Coming up, a replay, folks.
Popeye has to adjust to the new news that's shocking. The media lies. Just kidding. Yeah, I have to adjust to it. Yeah, right. I think I adjusted to it quite a long time ago. All right, we'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go anywhere. Listeners, if you could all do me a favor and let me know if your state that you live in sells AR-15s at your local grocery store, because if that's the case, I'll be moving to your state. Just let me know. Send me an email to vfor911@gmail.com. And yes, that's my real email, vfor911@gmail.com. You can actually email me about anything you want, but in all seriousness, I mean, come on. I'm going to go to Publix, bread, milk, eggs, AR-15, something, let's see, I need 5.56. I need a breastplate. Oh, AK. They have AKs on sale. Johnny,
and a case of beer.
Yes, get a free clip with every case of beer that you purchase. That's not how it works. You see, this is this myth that Americans are just drunk cowboys, and that's all we do, is run around and shoot stuff here in the Wild West of America. No, yes. Don't get me wrong. There are people that are eating garbage food and drinking soda, and they're, America, war on terror, America. But seriously, we do not run around with guns on our hips just shooting at everybody. There is open carry in some states, but it's not like the Wild West was, and that's what they're trying to kind of paint the picture as, that, oh my God, guns are scary and we must take them away. Although when you look at the statistics, the violent crime rate is down. When they look at gun crimes, their numbers that they're giving you, and I say they, meaning the media, are fudged. They lie. They don't tell you that violent crime overall is down. And yeah, there are if you look at a state where guns have been banned, right, and then you look at the violent crime rate, and they what they look at as, quote, gun crimes, and they say, look, there's the gun crimes went down. Well, yeah, because you banned guns, so you did make it a little harder for some of the criminals to get access to guns, but there are gun crimes, which means that only the bad guys are getting the guns, which means that your effort didn't work. It means you actually studied the good people.
I was about to disagree with you, and living 3 hours from Chicago, I believe you reported not even the first month in Chicago when I started the show, we're at the top of the year. Not even the first month of January, not even a full month in, there were like 97 killings in Chicago.
Well, see, that's why
strictest gun laws in the country.
That doesn't work, does it?
So that's these numbers that they throw at people are skewed. Who do you think skews the numbers? The idiots writing the articles. And where do you think they get their their numbers from? From some agency that's obviously skewing the numbers on purpose to make people look bad, and then you start doing the real math, and you actually start checking into this. And again, I'll suggest that every single one of you stop believing what the mainstream media tells you. Go check it out for yourself. Go online and look at numbers for yourself. That's all you have to do. Go online and check the numbers. Go to Chicago right now. Just search it, and see how many killings have happened in Chicago.
The violent crime rate in Chicago, yes, is high, but overall countrywide, the violent crime rate is actually down, and that's a good thing. Right. Now, the only place that it seems to go up is in these areas where people can't defend themselves. And yes, again, crimes with guns may go down. The number of, may go from 15 to maybe 9, right? If you want to use a number. Okay, maybe. But then when you look at the numbers of rapes, strangulations, beatings, suffocations, well, that stuff starts to skyrocket. It's what happened in Australia. Now people are getting suffocated with plastic bags, beat to death with bats, wood, clubs, hockey sticks.
Yeah, you're not going to stop murder. Murder's not going to stop.
Wait a minute. You mean making something illegal won't stop it from happening?
No. How about that? How's that drug war going for you? Huh? How's the drug war? That's why you got to ban. That's why you can't buy 6 packets of Sudafed, because the drug war is going so great. Fantastic job, guys. Fantastic job.
Yeah, well done. Bravo, Zulu, gentlemen. Bravo, Zulu. Idiots. Let's ban more stuff. I mean, that's their answer to everything. Let's make a law. Let's just ban something. Let's do this. So obviously, it's not really about your personal health. Obviously, there's something more to it. When they tell you one thing and the truth is completely different, it's something else. There's obviously a reason why they're lying. I mean, we can't look at it and go, well, maybe they just didn't know. If this were a relationship that you were in your personal life, like if this were a significant other, a partner, whatever, and they kept lying to you over and over and over again, would you sit there and go, it's okay? They had my best interest at heart. It's okay. They were just a little bit confused. It's okay.
Some people actually do that.
Well, you're right. They do, and I won't do that because I don't tolerate that, and that's what's going on with this country, and we need to stop it. I'm going to cut us off because we got a break sneaking up. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back. All right, we are back. We're only 54 seconds into this 3-minute clip. I told you it was going to take a couple segments to get through it. That's why when we came back, we had that quick short segment. I waited because now we have a nice long 14-minute segment. Hopefully we'll be able to get through the full thing. So let's get back to the woodshedding of Bob Costas and Piers Morgan, because this doesn't have to take all night, and there are a few other things I want to tear apart with Johnny. So let's get back to these two bozos, shall we?
Let's.
By the way,
It's madness.
and by the way, just as in sports, the Brady Center has a website. You can check this out, Athletes and Violence, and you can go Steve McNair and Pac-Man Jones and Ray Caruth and Gilbert Arenas and Javaris Crittenton in the NBA and on and on and on into the dozens and dozens and hundreds. And you'd be hard-pressed to find even one or two where an athlete having a gun was able to actually use it legitimately for self-defense. Could it theoretically happen? Yes, but it's greatly outnumbered by the number of tragedies. All right.
So
What?
Yeah,
What?
He's saying that athletes. He's making the case that athletes shouldn't have firearms because more athletes. But he's saying that in the case of athletes, if you look, more athletes have been lost to gun violence than guns have.
Well, I think that has a little more to do with paying a 22-year-old kid $20 million a year to play a game. A kid that hasn't even developed mentally yet, who's not even close to being developed, who was pushed through school. How about that? How about that, Bob? How about the fact that these kids are pushed through school and used like sides of beef for their school? They're put out there and they're literally, it's like the Roman days when they gathered all together in the Roman Colosseum and they put these people out there to fight and the gladiators. You know, that's what they are. That's what these people are to you and everyone else, is the fact that these people are just sides of beef to go out there and kill each other for your enjoyment. How about that, Bob Costas? How about that? Pisses me off.
Takes a brass set, right, to make the case why quote unquote athletes shouldn't have guns. I mean, he didn't have to come out and say it. He just made the case for it. Without saying athletes shouldn't have guns, he said, well, athletes, using the firearms to protect themselves are, few and far between, more cases of tragedies, blah, 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 blah. And he starts listing the names. And by the way, the Brady Center, just for those that don't remember, it's the same organization that put out the signs a couple months back. They were on Facebook. There was a couple people had posted the picture of one of the ads, and it was, rape lasts 30 seconds, but murder lasts a lifetime. No crime is worth taking a life. So basically, they're saying, lay there and take it. And I talked about this before. That's disgusting.
So rape is okay.
Yeah, right?
What they're saying, rape is okay, just don't kill anybody.
Right, because it would be wrong for a woman to protect herself with a firearm.
Buffoons.
Ladies,
seriously, dude.
Yeah, I give quite the opposite advice here on the radio show. My advice is, ladies, arm yourselves, learn how to fight, and if a man attacks you, don't acquiesce. Do everything you can, including removing scrotum and testicles with your high heels, teeth, fingernails, whatever you have to do. Fight back, because you might as well. You don't lay there and take it and be a victim. Nobody has to be a victim. That's the advice that they should be giving you, okay? Takes a minute and a half to give you some self-empowering advice, but nope. They're going to try to make cases why certain individuals shouldn't have weapons, but I digress. Let's get back to the woodshedding with these two morons. Remember, we were at athletes shouldn't have weapons.
That's in sports, but even outside that, give me one example where a citizen used an assault rifle with a high-capacity magazine for a constructive purpose. Now, they always present this theoretic, well, what if there's not one or two invaders to my home? What if there's 10 or 12? And after I've killed the first 8 or 9, I need to reload. Yeah, let me know when that happens.
Okay, Bob, a couple years ago out in Arizona that happened. There's actually video footage on YouTube. You can look it up. CNN reported on it. The guy involved a home invasion with 3 individuals where they actually drove right up into the guy's driveway, got out of a blue, I think it was a Chrysler 300 if I remember, got out of a blue car, and the perpetrators, 2 out of the 3, had quote-unquote assault-style weapons. They had semi-automatic rifles. They got out of their car. The homeowner also had a semi-automatic rifle. It was an AK-47 style, and he had it leading up by his door. He saw them. He happened to have his garage door open. He saw them pull in and hop out of the car with ski masks and everything on. he shouldered his weapon and stood in the doorway of his garage and opened fire. And all three of them quickly took off, got back in the car, and retreated. He hit one of them through the windshield. Now, I don't know if this was about 4 years ago. I don't remember if they caught them or not. But the guy was able to defend himself from three home invaders using an AK-47 with what Bob Costas and the rest of these anti-gun morons label, quote-unquote, high-capacity magazines, another talking point of the anti-gun crowd, okay? So there's your example, Bob. It happened 4 years ago, if not more, douchebag.
I have a bigger example. You're still pretty free, Bob. That's why. That's all I got to say. You're still able to walk around pretty much free. We have a lot of problems in this country, but the reason you're able to walk around free is because they know that these weapons are out there. They know that good, honest citizens are there protecting themselves. That's why. That's the biggest example I can give you, Bob. It's not for hunting, you idiot, and it's not just to have up on your shelf as a pretty placement to show all your friends and brag about it. It's there to defend ourselves against tyranny and the government that we live in. That's why. That's the biggest example that I can give you, is the fact that you're still able to walk around free because these weapons are out there in the hands of responsible people. Period.
Perhaps Bob Costas should maybe look back at history, back to the 90s. The L.A. riots, when the Korean shop owners out in L.A. defended their stores, their property, their livelihood, and their lives from looting crowds from the rooftops of their stores with AR-15s and AK-47s, semi-automatics, not fully automatic, the semi-automatic version that only civilians can purchase anyway. They can't get the fully automatic version. That's only available to military and police, has been since the 30s. Learn what you guys are going to talk about before you talk about it. So how many more instances do you need, Bob? Show me one piece of evidence. Costas, this is why you are not a news reporter or commentator. This is why you are a commentator for gladiatorial combat only. Because you are a brain-dead mouthpiece who should not come to the field of battle unarmed. You will be owned. You ought to know better than that. After all, you do talk about gladiatorial-type games, do you not? Mr. Costas?
That's all he does. Ugh. That's it. That's all he knows about. He knows stats, and he knows how to make sports, these high-priced, high-paid kids, he knows how to make them cry on TV. Whoop-de-doo. Boy, you're an impressive individual. You can make a guy who's obviously got some serious mental problems from getting his brains bashed in on a daily basis. You can make that kid cry. Wow, that's impressive. You stick to that, kid. And again, I'll say it again. Leave the hard work to the big boys, because you, sir, have no business whatsoever talking about anything but round and pigskin balls and well, you should just stick to talking about balls.
Yeah, basically. That's what these two are good at. Idiots. Let's try to finish this. Let's see if I can get through it without puking in my mouth.
I don't know if we can.
We'll try.
Between now and when that happens, sadly, there's going to be another Aurora. There's going to be another Newtown. There's going to be another Tucson.
Because my bosses told me that there was going to be.
And when they talk about anyone, no one that I know wants to confiscate firearms or abridge the real meaning of the Second Amendment.
Bullshit!
But when they try and make it sound as if everyone who proposes even the most common sense and moderate gun regulations is really only up to a nefarious game, which is about confiscating their guns so that a tyrannical government will have them at their mercy. Go talk to Gabby Gifford's husband, an astronaut.
Appeal to emotion. I don't even have to point out the fact that this thing is filled with logical fallacies from beginning to end, right? And I've actually been, instead of trying to take the high road tonight, I did throw a couple ad hominem little names out there. I can't stand it anymore, and I'm tired of taking the high road. Tonight I decided to step into the ring with these two morons and take my gloves off and just start hammering them right in the face. Just the good old-fashioned way. Screw the gloves. Bare knuckles boxing, the way it should be, the way I grew up fighting. And they need to be, verbally bloodied up in the ring. I'm sorry. Because this is garbage, dude. You hear him? There's going to be another Newtown. And then what do, Johnny? They go to the appeal to emotion. Don't worry about tyranny. Why don't you go ask Gabby Gifford's husband? He's a gun owner and an astronaut. Yeah, he's also about a hair's breadth away. He came a hair's breadth away from committing a felony, right? Because he almost did a straw man purchase, technically, because he was going to buy an AR-15, and then when he got caught buying said AR-15 after he was trying to push for you not to be able to have one, right? He said his retort was, well, I was going to turn it over to the police immediately. Well, if you did that, technically that's a straw man purchase. That means you're buying the gun for somebody else, right? According to their little rules that they want to pass, that would be a felony. So I'm supposed to go to a guy that under the gun control rules that you want to pass would be a felon, and I'm supposed to look at him as a source of reliable information? Well done, Costas. You're a dick.
He is right there. There will be another Newtown. There will be another Aurora. Why? And he knows why. Because the people that run his life, the people that pay him, the people that tell him what to say on a daily basis, or at least telling him what to say now, they're going to do it again because they need another distraction. There'll be a yet another distraction needed, so there'll be something else like this to pop up. So you're right, Bob. It is going to happen again, but not because we're wacky and we're crazy and we're all just going to start shooting up people. That's not the reason why. The reason why is because you and your people need a distraction.
Right. How come the only people that keep saying that it's going to happen again are Piers Morgan, Bob Costas, the media, the anti-gun crowd, the politicians that want all these tyrannical laws? They're the ones that keep saying there'll be another instance, there'll be another one. It's going to happen again, it's going to happen again, it's going to happen again. You never see the gun crowd running around saying, oh my God, you're right. There's going to be a shooting. We need to... Because the people that own guns understand that the guns don't wake them up in the middle of the night and go, psst, go kill. Hey, Johnny, I want you to go kill people. Look, tomorrow I want you to wake up and I want you to load me up. Get those high-capacity magazines out of the closet. Yeah. We'll go kill everyone. Right? They know that anybody that owns a gun knows that that's not what happens. They know that that's not really what happens. They know that the only way these bad things happen is one of two ways. One, the government does it, or two, there are sometimes cases where there are bad people and they go off and they lose their mind and for whatever reason. Although, as of late, I'm sorry, and I know this isn't maybe a popular thing to say, but as of late, when you go back and you look at all the mass shootings, every one of them is shady. And I'm not saying that...
Well, here's the deal. Here's how you figure it out. The ones that aren't reported in the news and beaten into your head every 10 minutes on a newscast, those are the ones that are probably real.
Yeah, the ones that are beating your face are the ones that are...
Yeah, the ones that are tossed out there as fodder for everyone, those are the ones that you have to question. Just before Aurora, there was a shooting in Alabama. A guy went into a bar and shot up a bar. You didn't hear one thing about it. Not one thing on the national news about that.
No,
Not
because
one.
there was it was an off-duty cop who happened to have a gun on them that ended it. And what about the case just now? Did you hear about another one? Guy got locked in a closet. We're going to get into this in the second hour, but a dude they broke into his house and they threw him in a closet, and they threw him in the wrong closet because the closet they threw him in is where all the guns were kept in the house.
Nice.
I couldn't make this up. But you won't hear the mainstream media talk about that. Where's the positive stories? They're on the news networks that you actually commentate on there, Costas. You just, I guess, never turn that on. I'm going to cut us off, though. We got a break sneaking up on us. Ladies and gentlemen, we get back. Final segment for the first hour. We'll finish up with the woodshedding of Bob Costas and Piers Morgan. Don't go anywhere. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. Oh. Do we even need to finish up with the woodshedding of these two morons? Yes, I guess we shall.
Yeah, just go ahead, finish it.
There's only like a minute left. Let's listen. I wish you could see Bob Costas' dead eyes as he talks. Seriously.
Well, he's like Dick Clark. Before Dick Clark had his stroke, it seems like he doesn't really age. You can tell he kind of ages, but he's aging really slow, which really makes me wonder,
Yeah, he kind of does look like, I'm staring at him, he does look like a young, ageless Dick Clark. I mean, Costas has got to be in his late 50s, right? Early 60s, somewhere around there, maybe give or take a couple years. So, I don't know, maybe about another 20 years, 30 years, he'll still be, if he still looks the same way he does, maybe he's one of those little clones. They have, I swear to God, sometimes when you look at these people, but he really does have soulless dead eyes. I mean, all joking and kidding aside, he does. When you see him talk, in this piece, I don't know if it's because he's a sports commentator and maybe that's his whole life, and that in itself was very empty and hollow. I don't know, but that's
all he has. That's all he's ever had, and that's all he's ever gonna have. That's why he's on trying to do serious news now, because he knows the sports commentators are easily forgotten about once they're gone. People still remember kind of who they are, but they just move on to the next sportscaster. They don't care.
Well, think about what the guy does for a living, dude. He commentates on something that, like, children do. Like, I stopped playing sports when I was a kid, okay? I understand that sports are for kids, and when you grow up, you have to get into adult things. So to me, it makes no sense to idolize somebody that runs around and does something that you do when you're 14 years old. Do we idolize adults that play with G.I. Joe figures all day long?
No, they get put in jail, sir.
Exactly. So, like, if there was like a 35-year-old dude that was like a professional, G.I. Joe figure player, would you run around and like, I want to be him?
A professional G.I. Joe player. That's funny.
And that's what this guy does for a living. He comments and he gives commentary, however you want to say it, on grown men playing a child sport. And then he sits with his soulless dead eyes and talks to Piers Morgan about why you shouldn't have your rights because people kill themselves. I love the argument of less people will commit suicide if guns were taken away. That's why suicides are so high. It's because of guns. Oh, okay. I guess that answers why the suicide rate in the military is so high, is because of guns, right? It has nothing to do with the war, the things that these people see, any of that, right?
Again, kids that are thrown into a situation that they mentally can't handle.
Exactly. But see, they don't want guys our age, because we look at, preemptive war, the way they're doing things, and be like, this doesn't smell right. I need to look into this further before we go and actually go kill innocent people for no reason. So that's why they don't go after guys our age. They go after the 18-year-olds. But I digress. Let me try to get the last minute of this in here. I'll try not to interrupt Bob and Piers.
Yes, please try.
And a gun owner. Talk to the former Phillies and Yankees manager Dallas Green, a lifelong hunter, a collector of John Wayne movies, whose granddaughter was among those shot and killed in the Gabby Gifford incident. Tell those people that they're sort of mealy-mouthed, panty-waist, non-patriotic gun haters. No, they're not. They're sensible Americans who see that there's a situation that's out of control and don't want the national debate to be controlled by extremists.
Well said, Bob Costas.
They don't want the debate to be controlled by extremists, but the debate is being controlled by extremists, is it not? I'm not the extremist because I want to have my freedom. My freedom doesn't cause people to go kill other people. Usually it's either a government-controlled operation or, and you can look that up, okay, mind control, that stuff does happen, or it's some bad person. And again, my freedom didn't enable the bad guy at all. I know watching Law and Order has told you that the Constitution is responsible for criminals getting away with bad things. The theme of that show, if you watch any episode of Law and Order, the basic premise behind every episode is that the Constitution is at fault, and that's why rapists and pedophiles get away with what they do. I swear to God, go watch the show. Watch any episode. Just randomly go on Netflix and pick any, if it's still there, and randomly pick one if you can stream it, and watch one. It's always blaming the Constitution and my freedom and your freedom and everybody's freedoms for the actions of one individual, or maybe two individuals. So taking away everybody's freedoms is always the answer to everything.
Because it works so well.
Yeah, it's worked so well in the past doing that. you know what? Costas, obviously, again, soulless, dead mouthpiece, and, well, I mean, piss is piss, right? I don't have to even go. I mean, his name is Piss. I'm sorry, it's Piers. That's right. Piers, Piss, whatever. Piss actually suits him better, so that's what we'll call him, Piss Morgan. All right, ladies and gentlemen, first hour up. Don't fear, hour number 2 is coming up. I have a ton of other things I want to pick apart with Johnny, but I wanted to rip apart that clip because it was just complete and utter garbage. Don't go anywhere. We're back in 1 short minute. Stay tuned. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with hour number 2 here on tonight's live edition of Down the Rabbit Hole. I am your host, Popeye, from FederalJack.com. It is May 17th, 2013. Don't forget, by the way, go check out tomorrow and Sunday, if you're in Miami or in the South Florida area. Hack Miami is having their South Florida Hacker Conference, their 2013 Hacker Conference in downtown Miami. So go over to hackmiami.org for all the information and go check it out. It's going to be pretty cool. I'm going to be down there checking things out and interviewing people, talking about false flag hack attacks and other things. So hopefully I'll have some good audio to play for you guys next week during some of the broadcasts. Hour number 2, my good friend, fellow radio show host, brother from another mother, Johnny English is back for the second half of Cutting Through the BS number 11. In the first hour, we woodshedded both Bob Costas and Piss Morgan for their anti-gun little hit piece that they did. And it wasn't specifically on guns. He was interviewing, Costas about his career, if that's what you want to call it. I mean, really, again.
Costas is such a juggernaut in the news business, yeah.
Raw, I'm Bob Costas. Well, don't you know? I mean, it's funny how more people know that guy's name than George Washington.
It is sad. It really is.
I'll bet you could go to the younger generations today and ask them if they know who George was. Show them a picture of George Washington and Bob Costas, and they'll be able to tell you who Bob Costas is. But the picture of Washington, they probably maybe 50% would know. It's really sad. I'd actually be surprised if it was 50%. Let's be quite honest. I mean, the way things are.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I honestly think if you did that with just about anyone, you know what I'm saying, it would probably, you'd be surprised at what people actually pick out.
We Are Change used to do that.
I mean, it's just pathetic. It really is pathetic what this country has become and how much we've forgotten over the years, even though, they teach the fake history in school, pretty much every school, but yeah, it's just sad. It really is sad.
Dude, We Are Change used to go out in the streets with pictures of people, and they would go up to people in like Times Square and ask them if they knew who it was, and they would show them pictures of like Justin Bieber or Rihanna or whatever, and they knew who they were. As soon as they showed them pictures of like what's his name, the moron that runs the Fed, I can't remember his name, Bernanke. They'd show pictures of him. They showed a picture of Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, or however you pronounce his name, because that's a rough one. But they showed a picture of him, and this one woman was like, "Oh, that's the president of Iran, right? We need to go to, or the president of Iraq. We need to go to war with them, right, or something, because they're threatening to fight us." And I'm like, "We need to go to war with the president of Iraq? Really? First of all, that's the president of Iran, and we need to go to war with Iraq? Really? Like, ugh." It just makes me bang my head. These are the same people that then walk by Mark Dice while he's out videotaping, and
Ahmadinejad is he doesn't even have the support of the supreme leader of Iran. And apparently, you need to listen to an episode of Broken Man Radio where I clearly pointed that out, the fact that he was held for 7 hours by the supreme leader's son or whatever the case was, and disarmed his entire security detail and told him basically, "Hey, you're going to shut up about this election fraud, or you're going to disappear."
It's the truth. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Johnny, nice long segment, and I want to start picking your brain on a few other things.
Pick away, sir.
Oh, my Lord. There is so much insanity going on. First, since we're on the gun control topic, or the topic, I should say, of gun control, and how Costas said he's never seen any, well, I mean, I already gave enough examples of the AR-15 and other semi-automatic rifles being used to protect people and for people to be able to protect their property and themselves from bad people. But I have a quick little piece of audio I want to play for you. It's only 2 minutes, and then I want to get your take on this. Now, this is going back to what I told you earlier. What did I say to you before? I said that there was a homeowner who got robbed, home invasion, and they stuffed him in a closet, but they stuffed him in the wrong closet because the closet they stuck him in had all of his guns in it. Yeah, check this out.
A shootout in Sharpstown sent at least one suspect to a hospital. Police say 3 men stormed into a house, forcing the homeowner into a closet. But that's where he gained the upper hand. Eyewitness News reporter Deborah Wrigley joining us live from the scene to explain what happened. Deborah?
Dave, there is the home in question. It sits here on a fairly busy street. It's also the home that was targeted by 3 home invaders. Wrong house, wrong homeowner. Inside this Brays Valley home, a high-stakes drama played out. Police got a 911 call from the owner who said 3 men had broken into his house.
They confronted the homeowner, assaulted him briefly, and they put him in the closet.
They didn't look in the closet because that's where he keeps his guns. Police were told he thought the men had left after a few minutes. He went downstairs armed just in case.
He actually confronted one of the suspects who was still at his home, and shots were exchanged.
The homeowner wasn't injured. One of the suspects was. Neighbor Greg Gaddis heard the gunfire, walked outside, and
I seen the burglar laying on the concrete over there, and there was already somebody standing over him, just a random driver, and looked like he had blood coming out of his neck and his leg, and trying to saying some things turned me over. It hurts, move me.
His 2 companions got away. The wounded suspect now hospitalized. There have been robberies and break-ins in the neighborhood recently, according to those who live here. Today, one was foiled.
Listen to what the neighbor says.
Guess what? Owner had a gun, and he did exactly what he was supposed to do with the gun. That's what they're made for, protect his home.
The 2 other suspects were last seen speeding down Brays Valley Street in a dark-colored SUV. The other suspect, again, still at the hospital. As far as the homeowner, no charges are expected to be filed against him.
Of course, no charges are expected to be filed against him because he was in his right to defend himself. How awesome is that? Wrong closet to stick the guy you're robbing in.
Yes, Bob Costas. That's why we have these guns, and that's why that we need the guns, because no matter what, there's going to be some idiots that want to break in and steal your stuff, or harm you, or do something just horrendous to your family. That's why we have them. Bob.
It was 3-on-1. He came out of the closet. The guy thought they had left. He came out armed, and when he walked down the stairs, he was confronted by one of them because they were still in the house. He literally ran into the guy almost. So he drew his weapon. The guy pulled his way, and the kid was young. It was the son of the homeowner, and he was. I mean, he's of adult age, but the guy, and you could see he was visibly shaken up afterwards too. But he walked down, I guess, into the living room area, came across the guy. The one that was still in the house, was armed, started shooting at the kid, so the kid returned fire like he should have. I mean, if you're going to get shot at, screw it. At that point, you're in Mortal Kombat. Game on, right? So, you better know how to shoot, and you best be aiming. You best be practicing during panic situations so you can have muscle control while the adrenaline's flowing through you. But the kid must be good at Call of Duty because he hit the guy. The robber who shot at him did not hit him. But the kid who shot at the robber hit the guy in the neck and in the leg.
Well, I'm guessing the robber was holding his gun sideways like a moron. See, kids, you don't hold your gun sideways like an idiot because you're not going to hit anything. You hold it upright, use the sights, line it up, and fire. And the thing about it is, this guy could have probably he snuck around and actually killed all three guys. You know, he could have snuck around and found them and just killed all three of them. But he didn't. He just wanted to protect his home. And that's what a majority of people that have guns want to do. They're not out looking to kill people. They're not out looking to slaughter people. If there's 2 or 3 people in your house, you're not out to kill all three of them. You just want to get rid of them. Get them out. You know, and let them know that don't come back. So, I mean, you know, it's all of these straw man arguments that these idiots are using. It's pointless. It really is.
I've never seen a case where somebody used a weapon to defend themselves, Johnny.
Yeah, it's never happened.
Yeah.
Yes. Because he said it, it's never happened.
It just makes me want to scream. And then there's actually people that buy it, though. They buy into that crap. That's why. Well, that's why I want to always make sure that when I show their arguments and I rip it apart, I always try to show at least one case like this case. You know, where, no, they're lying, and if you go even do the slightest bit of research and spend 5 minutes doing research, just go on whatever search engine you want and type in guns used to defend, or people use guns to defend themselves, and just hit enter, and just look at the hundreds of different news articles that'll come up. It's ridiculous. But they'll tell you that there's never a case where anybody uses it, because you know why? Because they're able to make that straw man argument to you, the viewer, if you only watch like CNN or NBC News, and that they call themselves whatever, MSNBC, whatever the frig it is. They change names so many times, and Fox News over there. Most people only watch that. They don't see these local reports, right? They go to Fox because they figure if it's important, Fox will pick it up, or CNN or MSNBC. Well, if they don't talk about these stories where people are using guns to defend themselves, or if only Fox picks it up, then Fox is playing into the right-wing part of the whole movie that's being presented to you. People will say to me, "Ooh, Popeye, Fox News plays this stuff." Well, because they're playing a part, right, dude?
Why do you find it so hard to believe that people believe what they're seeing on mainstream media? 20 to 30 million, I promise you, and I haven't seen the ratings, so I don't know for sure. 20 to 30 million, I guarantee you tuned in to see American Idol, the winner picked, and they actually think that audience members picked the winner. They really think that happened.
Wait a minute.
They believe it.
You mean the audience members don't pick the winner?
No!
Now I can't watch American Idol anymore.
You know, anybody that watches these reality shows that are obviously not reality, your votes aren't counting any more than they do on,
the regular presidential election.
Yeah, once every 4 years. You really think your vote counts? Do you really think for a second that you actually can make a difference?
Actually, in all actuality, your vote probably counts more on American Idol than it does in the presidential election every 4 years.
It absolutely does, because they probably used it throughout the time. Just as a little thing, and they probably find a way to make money off of you calling in like a moron and voting. And again, I don't mean to insult people, but
texting from your cell phone. Don't worry, charges will apply.
Let's be real here, folks. Okay, I'm gonna be real. Those shows you're watching, not real. I hate to tell you, I hate to break your little heart, but those shows are not. They're no more real than the scripted sitcoms that used to be on TV that actually, they put some thought into, or somebody did. These shows, they're not real. They're nowhere near real. They're again, they don't want to pay these actors millions of dollars to do the sitcoms, so now they figured out a way to pull you and I off the street, give them $100,000, and they make millions off of your idiot. I'm about to go too far. But it's true. That's the fact. That's why you have reality shows.
It's even worse than that. It's even worse than that. The idea of reality shows is to actually literally blur the lines, and they've talked about this. That's why a couple of years ago, I have an article up in Federal Jack about this, but a couple of years ago they talked about how they were going to blur the lines between commercials and sitcoms, where they were going to stop having commercial actors and then sitcom actors, like the sitcom actors do the show, and then the commercial actors, just do the commercials. What they were going to do is they were just going to start to integrate more sitcom actors into commercials. So, and they were going to have them do some of the commercials as their characters that they play on TV. So it's harder for you to differentiate reality from television. And if you've noticed over the course of a couple years now, when you watch television, most of the commercials that you see on TV have famous stars. Yeah, you still have people that, star in commercials, but it has changed drastically. And anybody in the business will even tell you, and I don't want to hear, oh, Papa, you don't know what you're talking about. No, they've even admitted that they're doing more commercials now with the stars of the shows, and they're going to have them do it as their characters. They did it with the one dude from that show, Parks and Recreation, Aziz, and I can't remember his last name. He's a comedian. He plays this guy named Tom on the show. Okay, very the character is kind of funny on the show. Okay, well they started using that character, him playing that character or that type of character with that type of personality in commercials. Okay. When he would do commercials for certain things, when the show was really at its like a high popularity level, and he's still in commercials here or there. I don't watch TV, so the only time I see a commercial is if it pops up on YouTube, and I have to wait for friggin' thing, so I have to move it, or if it pops up on a video on a website. But I still see these same commercials that will pop up on TV from time to time, so I know what they're doing. I see what they're doing. They're blurring the lines of reality. You know what I'm saying?
And you have to understand too that these people are getting too powerful. They're getting too big of a following, and they can't have that. Obviously, you look into the past, John Lennon, Martin Luther King Jr., I mean, the list goes on of celebrities and or, people that just had a huge following, and they had to be snuffed out. They had to be gotten rid of. And now, we've talked about this before in the past, it's a little harder now for them to get rid of people. They're still doing it. Don't get me wrong. I mean, look at the Clinton dead body count. But it's harder now for them to get rid of these people, especially high profile people that are out in the public. They can't even go to the bathroom without somebody sneaking in with a camera and taking a picture of them at the urinal and saying, "Look who I met." They can't do that anymore. So now they have to bring them down a notch. And how they do that is elevate normal, everyday people, throw them a couple 100,000, and they end up making millions. That's why you have American Idol and The Voice is because if you read the contracts of these people, they are owned by American Idol for like 5 years. They make a pittance of the sales off of their music. These kids aren't getting famous and making millions of dollars. No, they're getting a very small portion of all the record sales from their appearances on American Idol, if they even win it, or the top 10 usually actually tour around. They don't make any money off that. The record industry makes money.
Wait a minute. You mean the record industry are the only people that profit, and that they actually push down real talent for crap that they could put out so that they could make a profit? Wait a minute.
Absolutely.
Wait. Would that mean that Lauryn Hill was correct last week when she made that comment and the judge ordered her for re-education?
I didn't even hear it, but I will say yes.
Oh, you didn't hear about that?
No.
Oh, yes. The miseducation of Lauryn Hill should be retitled to the re-education of Lauryn Hill, because that's what she was ordered to. I'll tell you more about it on the other side. Ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. We got a break coming up. We'll be right back. All right, we are back. So, like I was telling Johnny, I didn't even realize Johnny didn't know this, but and this came out like a week and a half ago. Lauryn Hill got nailed for tax evasion because she was getting screwed with back when she was a singer, because she started, singing and speaking about things that the powers that shouldn't be don't, want people to pay attention to. They want them to, remember, the musicians and the actors and stuff are supposed to keep people in this sphere of this movie, this false reality that they keep pumping out, right? So she pissed them off. However, she pissed them off. She disappeared, and of course, then they went after her. Of course, it's always the IRS that goes after people, right? So she had to go to she has to go to jail. I think it's for like 3 months. But part of her getting in trouble is she has to go to re-education. And in fact, if you go over to Truth Frequency Radio, just go to truthfrequencyradio.com. Cherie wrote an article titled "The Re-Education of Lauryn Hill, Ordered to Undergo Counseling for Conspiracy Theories." And during the trial, or trial, right? You weren't really mockery of justice is what you really should call it. But anyway, during this whole sham of a trial or whatever for Lauryn Hill, she had said about how the music industry pushes down real talent for these, Pop Tarts that they can mold and
what?
And wait, it gets better. So she comes out and says this in court, and the judge ordered her for re-education, Johnny, for her conspiracy theory outlook on things, because that's just can't possibly be true. So she was literally ordered for re-education by the judge. I couldn't make this up, dude. I swear to God. Like, when people tell you that, oh, this doesn't happen, okay.
So you people really think there's not re-education camps? Just waiting for the average citizen. A little camp set up maybe somewhere across the United States in certain areas that you really think that that's not coming for us? You really think that? My tinfoil hat, I guess, is getting a little too big, because I'm pretty sure, and you see this every once in a while, they'll take a celebrity or a music, some kind of somebody who's made it big in the music industry, and they make an example out of them because they didn't do what they were supposed to do. They didn't continue to wave the flag and to throw up the symbols in their videos and do all the different things that they're supposed to do in order for them to keep their big houses and their cars and their millions of dollars. And that's exactly what happened to Lauryn Hill. Exactly. Google her name, and you'll know what all Lauryn Hill's been involved in. She's always been involved in some sort of activist role, but it's just now catching up. And there's more to come, people. There's a lot more to come, and you have no idea. That's why I only support independent artists like Heist Click and Rebel Inc. and all these other groups that have extremely, their music is just as good, in most cases better, than the mainstream garbage that's forced down, because at least they're writing their own stuff. Yep. They're writing their own words.
There's a bunch of good bands out there. Payday Monsanto, too. Remo Conscious. These good people. Like you said, Heist Click.
So, by the way, shout out to those guys. I guess they got a room full of people listening to us right now up in NYC, my friend. So, hello to you people up there.
Yes, Frank! Behave yourself. Don't get in any trouble. Right, like that'll happen.
As long as he stays away from Florida, he'll be okay.
Dude, this state, let me tell you, this state brings out the worst in people. There was a case a couple of years ago where a dude was driving up and this doesn't help for the pro-gun people, but there was a guy driving up the street, and he was pissed off at his car because I guess it broke down like for the umpteenth time, and he happened to have an AK in the back, in the trunk, and maybe he was going to the range, whatever. So when the car broke down, he got pissed off, and he got out on the side of the road and proceeded to unload 2 full magazines into the engine block right on the side of the road. And then he packed his stuff up and calmly walked away and left his car there. It's full of bullet holes. Yeah, this state does seem to bring out the weirdos
down there. You crazy people down there in Florida, man.
Because we're the lowest state. It's like we're a filter, and everything filters, especially from the East Coast. It all filters.
Everything runs downhill. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, everything from the country filters into the. It's like water. It filters into the lowest portion, right? And Florida is the lowest portion. So it is what it is. All right, we're going to break. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. I'm only kidding. I love Florida, but it definitely is interesting. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Don't forget, if you want to join the DTRH listening audience from time to time over on federaljack.com, that is my website. Tons of free information, archives, videos, and stuff over there. But there's also a listen live page for Down the Rabbit Hole. So 5 nights a week when I'm on from 10 p.m. to midnight, you can go over to the Listen Live page, and there are links to listen. There's a link to the pop-up player, and there is a convenient chat room that if you want to chat with any of the Down the Rabbit Hole listeners, you can feel free to use it. And I don't check it often. I mean, every second while I'm on air, but during the break I try to check it from time to time. And if I'm talking about an article or a video or something, I tend to throw the link to said article or video into the chat room if I have it. Anyway,
here's at the local Kmart over the air. They got us playing during the stores, right?
Oh yeah, I wish that would be great. That would be great if somebody out there could pump us into the local.
Yeah, that would be awesome, huh?
That would be great. Take over.
So if you're in the grocery store shopping for your AR-15, you get to listen to Popeye and Johnny. Yeah.
Hey, I'm in the bullet aisle right now. It's right next to the bread and the eggs.
You got to keep the bullets at a cool 42 degrees.
Want them to spoil. Well, by the way, I'm glad you brought that up because if you remember during the woodshedding of Costas and Piers, I said that there was a story from Arizona from a few years ago where a guy used an AK-47 to defend himself from 3 home invaders. Well, I was wrong. It wasn't 3 home invaders. It was actually 4. Okay, so it was actually more than 2 people. Bob, Mr. Costas, and they all had weapons. And he fired back. In fact, I'm going to play you this about a minute and a half of audio here, and you're even going to get a chance to hear him shooting his gun at them. So yeah, this is a true story, and this happened years ago. Again, so was the story about the Korean shop owners defending themselves during the LA riots, but I digress. Just to back up my point, what I said earlier, let's take a quick listen, shall we?
4 armed suspects caught on tape trying to break into a Southwest Side home. The homeowner's own surveillance cameras helping deputies solve this case. News 4's David Marino has this story. New at 10.
The surveillance video captures it all. 4 suspects, armed and dangerous, attempting to invade a Southwest Side home.
The victim was able to get back inside his house, close his door, semi-barricade it, reach for a weapon that was easily accessible.
That's when you hear gunfire. The 4 men retreat, get into their car, but not before the homeowner's bullets hit the windshield. Pima County Sheriff's officials say the homeowner has surveillance cameras installed all around his house.
And that was just for his own home security.
People living in the neighborhood heard all the gunshots and saw the aftermath. Some stray bullets even hit a home across the street.
I was asleep when around noon Thursday, and I heard gunshots. Then I heard about 4 or 5 more shots go out in rapid succession. Then I heard his car squeal off.
I am very watchful from where we live, and I think everybody has a right to defend their property.
Pima County detectives did find the suspect's vehicle at a home near Cardinal and Valencia, but the 4 men are still on the run. One of the suspects has been identified as 23-year-old Jesus Mendeville. It's believed he was shot in the arm. The 3 other men are all described as Hispanic males between 17 and 25 years old. Anyone with information is asked to call 88 Crime. With Balanced News, David Marino, News 4.
Oh, but according to Costas, that
never happens.
Exactly. You see my point?
That's never happened, Popeye. What's wrong with you? That was obviously a fake news article.
Yeah, obviously it was put together by conspiracy theorists. It's not real. It's on the internet. You can't believe it because it was on YouTube and it was all they have. It's really easy. It's really easy for them to do that. And of course, I'm being sarcastic. I'm actually quoting. And I can't remember her name. It's the blonde that hangs out with Bill O'Reilly on his show. She's nasally. She's got this nasally voice when she talks. I think his name is Gretchen, if I remember correctly, or something.
Her breast pushed up to her chin.
Oh, yeah, they all are. She's one of the blonde bimbos, but she's got a very nasally voice. Anyway, I don't remember what her name is, but she comes out and she makes some of the dumbest statements. They were talking about a video one day, and she said, "Of course, it's so easy to edit video." They were talking about InfoWars when the Family Guy thing came out where they had showed the 2 clips from the same episode about the Boston bombing.
Oh, yeah.
The Boston Marathon thing, a couple weeks before the Boston bombing. Well, their claim was that it was all fake and that it was made up by Jones and his crew or somebody on the internet with YouTube. And when Bill O'Reilly goes, "Well, how could they do that? I mean, that's That's a big time production. How did they get in there and edit that like that? And make it look fake like that, because that, even O'Reilly was kind of, I mean, obviously he wasn't buying into it, but he did bring up a valid point. How could they have done that? And she responds with, well, it's really easy for them to do it nowadays. I can just get in there and edit stuff and make it look real, but that's not real, and it really didn't happen. Yes, it did happen, you liar. That's why you people are not relevant anymore.
I suppose that entire what was that show, the episode that, before 9/11?
Oh, The Lone Gunman.
Yeah, that entire episode was faked.
Yeah, you're speaking of the pilot episode of The Lone Gunman. Yeah, The Lone Gunman, for the listeners that don't know, there was a show called The X-Files in the 90s. I'm sure most people know what the show is. There was a spin-off from it called The Lone Gunman, because the Lone Gunmen were a bunch of quote-unquote conspiracy theory guys that Mulder would go deal with from time to time to help with cases and stuff. Well, they had their own show. I think, if I remember correctly, it only lasted one season or maybe like two at the most. But I think it was only one. And the pilot episode was them trying to stop a plot where the military-industrial complex, along with certain people inside of the government in the right positions of power, hijacked an airplane and were going to remotely fly it into the World Trade Center and blame it on Arab terrorists in order to start World War III so they could get more money for the CIA and for the military-industrial complex.
Not some other building.
Literally the Twin Towers, the World Trade Center, and they were remotely controlling the plane and flying it into the building. And this came out only like 7 months before 9/11. But hey, I'm the kooky conspiracy theorist.
Yeah, you couldn't write that. I mean, seriously, you could not write that. There's just no way.
And Chris Carter, the guy who created the X-Files and then subsequently created that show, The Lone Gunman, has admitted, as well as Dean Haglund, the blonde guy, the guy with the long blonde hair in the show and the glasses. I forget his character's name, but both of them have done interviews before. I know Chris Carter has come out and said that the CIA came to him with the plot for that episode, and that a lot of the episodes of the X-Files were not written by him, but the plots came right out of Langley. And this isn't the first time that I've stumbled across in my research and investigations that the CIA actually writes plots for whether it be TV shows or movies. It's not the first time I've come across this. And then Dean Haglund, even in interviews, said the same thing, that the CIA had come up with the plot for the Lone Gunman pilot episode. And who knows about the rest of the rest of the episodes too, but that specific episode where they remotely control a jet and try to fly it into the World Trade Center in order to have what the intelligence agencies call a fund drive, matches another movie that came out around the same time, not about a year and a half before, called The Long Kiss Goodnight with Gina Davis and Samuel L. Jackson. You remember that movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was an assassin, and she had amnesia, and then she started remembering all of her stuff. And at the end of the movie, she realizes what's going on. She had gotten amnesia because they had tried to kill her, and the reason they tried to kill her was because she found out that her boss, the head of the CIA, was working with the terrorist that she was supposed to be tracking down and hunting and killing. And long story short, according to the movie, he admits, he says, the Congress cut funding, so what we're going to do is we're going to, basically they're going to stage a terror attack, and then it was going to be blamed on, Middle Eastern terrorists. That way they could get this unlimited budget for the CIA and the military-industrial complex. Again, a fund drive. Same exact, MO as the pilot episode of the Lone Gunman series. And this is the best part about it. The Arab that was going to be blamed for the bombing was a guy that was dead, and they had in a freezer. And they took him out of the freezer and put him in the cab of the truck that they were going to blow up. They had a dead Arab on ice awaiting a terror attack for him to be blamed on. Where have I seen this before?
Look at all the Jason Bourne movies.
But where have I seen the dead Arab on ice thing before? That sounds quite familiar.
Yeah.
Who'd they just thaw out and throw into the ocean? Right. In accordance with Muslim tradition, they give burial at sea. Really? For those of you that can't understand what that noise is, that's me face palming it. Okay.
No soldiers witnessed that, by the way. So it's kind of the same along the lines of if a bear takes a crap in the woods, isn't it? You know what I'm saying? So, please.
Yeah, if Osama is thrown in the ocean and nobody's there to see it, did it really happen? I mean, come on, man. In accordance with Muslim tradition, really? When is burial at sea a Muslim tradition? Since when? Since never. Ever. Let me ask you a question. How do you know he's facing Mecca? Aren't they supposed to be facing Mecca when they get buried, or whatever the hell it is, or facing? Yeah, I think they're supposed to face Mecca. So they're supposed to face a certain direction, or whatever the case may be when they get buried. How do you know that he's facing that way when he lands on the sea floor? How do you know he's not sitting, head first into the ground, and he's not up, standing upright like a buoy? It just doesn't make it. It's just such lies. Such lies. So, like I said, when I see the storyline of this movie, right, where they thaw an Arab out of the ice box, to be blamed for a terror attack, that was in 1999. Now, again, let's fast forward, and where have we seen that kind of scenario before?
Well, because most people aren't going to know, you see. They're not going to know all this, but they can tell you who won The Voice last year. I promise you that.
Well, if it makes you feel better, I don't even know what The Voice is.
Okay. Well, never mind.
Oh, I'm sure it's one of these crappy, talent shows. Wow, God, American Idol, just this week, only 5 days. Try out to be on, wow, American Idol. Whoa. Shoot yourself in the face if you don't make it. Please. Just, Dave Grohl came out. I'm not a big music lover, on air. I don't come out and, pat bands on the back or anything. And most of these bands, a lot of them, even the adult ones from when I was a kid, some of them do things that piss me off. But I got to give Dave Grohl credit. Okay, he came out and made a comment, I don't know how long ago it was, but basically about within the past month or so about American Idol and all these reality shows like that. And he said, it's ruining music. Because these people think that basically in order to be a good musician, you have to get together, you have to go stand in line with these other people for hours to try out for American Idol, and if you don't make it, that's it, you're done, blah, 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 And there really isn't talent. It's all poppy, made for mass consumption garbage that does get picked up. He's like, real musicians, and of course I'm paraphrasing, but basically real musicians get together, they go to garage sales, they buy old equipment, they get together with their friends who have bought old equipment as well, and they go play in a garage, and they suck. And they really suck real bad for a long time until one day they're Nirvana. And that's just the way it goes. And that's basically, how he put it in a nutshell. He put it a little more eloquently, but he's right. It's totally destroying these future musicians because they're not playing music and learning music. They're actually trying to, they think that to get on one of these reality TV shows is the end-all, be-all. So when you say things like The Voice or whatever, to me it's just like American Idol or Dancing with the Stars or the rest of this crap.
Well, it's because they're not writing their own, they're not writing any of their own stuff. It's all piped to them from a set of writers and a set of musicians. They have nothing to do with the content. They just stand up there and mouth, say the words and sing, and that's it. And they're getting away with it cheap because these people will do it for $100,000 versus a much larger name doing it for millions.
That's great. So they're the organ grinder's monkey. How does that make you feel, ladies and gentlemen? We're going to break. Don't go anywhere. We're back. Final segment. Stay tuned. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Final segment. Make sure you check out my archives over at Unbound Radio, unboundradio.com.
And check mine too, sir.
Yes, and Johnny's Broken Man Radio is over there too. And if you want my full 2 years, actually over 2 years now, of broadcast, go over to federaljack.com. I have an archive page over there with every one of my broadcasts I've done, special broadcasts, special guest appearances, stuff like that. So stay tuned. I got more coming along the way, but if you don't get a chance to catch anything live, you can catch the Unbound broadcasts again over at unboundradio.com. You can check off Johnny's stuff over there too at unboundradio.com in the archive section. Become a member, support everything, everything that we do. That'd be great if you could. We appreciate it. Thank you if you do. and you get the high-quality archives. And then, of course, your contribution of the membership helps people that perhaps can't afford it be able to listen to the lower-quality archives for free. So I'm sure they appreciate it, and that's how we're going to win this, helping each other, working together as a team.
And
getting things done.
And I just updated the video links over at KOAlive.com, which is to BrokenManRadio.com as well. If you go over and check those out, I updated. I just put a ton of links up. And as far as soon as last night or night before last, they all worked. So there's all kinds of videos there, everywhere from GMO foods to 9/11 to MLK and JFK assassinations, and there's all kinds of videos over there. So if you guys want to go over there and check that out. And then the music section, of course, with our friends Heist Click and Rebel Inc. and all those guys. So I've been working kind of hard since I've had nothing to do this week. I've been working hard on the site.
I have to go back and fix my video section. It's huge.
Yes, you do.
And I keep getting emails as of late. Even you told me there's a lot of dead links. See, that's the problem. You have a video section like that where you have links to all these movies that are available for people to watch online. And what happens is over the course of time, the YouTube channel associated with one of them gets removed or taken down, or the video itself gets blocked, or on the case of Google Video, a lot of the videos, I know Google Video, I don't even know if the older videos that were up there even work anymore, but I know that a lot of those links are dead. And then, there's just cases of copyright, being thrown out there where people can't have the video up for whatever reason, wherever it was being listed. So, yeah, there's a lot of good movies that you can't even find anymore. It's really hard to find them. And at my video page used to have every one of those links was active and working at one point, but I do have to go back and fix them. There's probably about a good, I'd say 15 or 20 in there that aren't active anymore, at least. But, part of the problem is Federal Jack is so huge. Literally, my website has become so ginormous that I don't have time to do it all. And we don't have a huge crew. It's me and my two IT guys who I've talked about. And actually, I had Alex on the show earlier this week. So, those two guys have to do a ton on the back end to take care of protecting the site from being hacked and stuff. Plus, they run their own stuff called, their own organization called Hack Miami, which, as I said, they're having a hacker conference this weekend. Go check it out, hackmiami.org. But it's just the three of us, and I'm the webmaster, so I'm the one that posts all the articles and does all that stuff, like where I put the link, the physical stuff up on the website. So I just don't have the time, dude. This thing has become so huge between federaljack.com and my radio show. When I started this years ago, I did not think that I would be as big as I am. I honestly, I'm really humbled by the amount of people I reach every day on air. I really am.
I'm even humbled. I mean, and I'm not even nowhere near that size yet, but I'm humbled at the support that I've gotten just in a short amount of time. Being asked to speak at March Against Monsanto next week in Des Moines, that was huge. I've never done that before. And by the way, that's a countrywide, actually it's a worldwide thing. May 25th. Make sure you go out, find a march near you, and support them. Do something out there for these people, and go join in on everyone's fight against this evil corporation, Monsanto.
I agree, and that's awesome that you got invited out there to speak. See, people are waking up everywhere. That's why I still hear the cynical, I don't know if we're going to win, we're screwed, we're done, it's over.
I've been there. I've had that. That's crossed my mind a few times.
I know.
It's hard to come back from that. It really is.
Oh, it really is. But you know what? The part of the reason people think that way is because they don't realize that there's a lot more people around them that think like them. They think there's less people than there really are. And I found out in my own journey that there's actually way more people that are awake than you realize. It's just some of them are afraid to speak out, because everybody around them are brain dead, just like you deal with in your own family life. I deal with my own. All of us do. There's at least one person you deal with on a personal level that you have to argue with. So everybody experiences that and they shut themselves off. But there's actually a lot more people out there awake than people believe, and we're not going to lose. We're going to win this. I promise. It's that simple. We're going to win. That's why they're freaking out. That's why they're acting the way they are, because they know that what's coming is inevitable and they don't like it. And like a petulant child, they're stomping their feet all the way to the bathroom. I don't want to take that shower, Mommy. Well, guess what, New World Order? You're going to have to, okay? That's just the way it is. Don't be a petulant child. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it. We're out of time. We are literally out of time. Johnny, thank you so much for coming on again, brother.
Thanks for having me, and remember tomorrow night, Broken Man Radio, and Sunday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on Unbound Radio.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Every Saturday and Sunday you can hear Johnny. Make sure you tune into his show. I love listening to his rants. Make sure you tune into mine, too, if you get a chance, for that matter. I love it.
Okay.
I love it. Yes, shameless plug. I love you all. We're out of here.